All right. I get my bio up here. All right, here we go. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Cam, coming to you as always from the Spotlight Studios here in Morristown, New Jersey. My guest today is a U.S. Navy veteran who is currently a construction safety professional. He's also an avid podcaster and live stream host and has been podcasting since 2019 and started live streaming in 2020. With his newfound love of podcasting and community building, he has managed to help new podcasters out by way of Clubhouse and is 1/3 of the Real Talk podcasting crew. He is Pedro Maciel. Pedro, welcome.
Hey, what's going on, Mike? Appreciate you having me, brother.
Not much, man. It's so good. We were just saying that right before we logged on here. So we've known each other probably since January. I think that's when we first got into a Clubhouse room together. And it's finally good to actually have a face-to-face conversation rather than just talking to the little Pedro bubble
icon. Yeah. Pedro icon. Yeah.
Right. I'm very familiar with the icon, as I'm sure you are familiar with my icon, but it's just better, because now I can actually see your face, see how you operate, all that kind of stuff. So I'm pumped because we're going to cover a lot of stuff today. From podcasting to the construction side to the safety side. The first thing, though, I do want to talk about is I've heard you talk about it before. I know you're a U.S. Navy veteran, which is one of the things that I had mentioned in your bio. I guess first question out of the gate is why would someone want to be in a submarine sent to basically the bottom of the ocean? That would freak me out, dude. I would not be able to handle that. So how did that happen?
Oh man. Well, it's crazy because I seen the commercials before I went into the military, all the propaganda that was going on. This is, again, post 9/11. That happened in 2001. I left in 2002. And I just seen the emergency blow of the submarine come on TV. And I was like, man, that seems pretty cool. But really the reality of the reason why I didn't go surface or anything other than submarine, one, I'm, partially colorblind. And then two, I didn't score that high on my ASVAB. I think I ended up getting I think it was a 48 or something. And it is what it is, but I enjoyed it. Crazy time on a submarine. You got to kind of be a little crazy to go on a ship and actually a ship that sinks on purpose.
Yeah, right. Yeah, seriously.
So it's it was definitely a good experience. I advise anybody that would like to go to submarines, you do go through some rigorous training to get onto a submarine. But once you're there, the camaraderie, the environment, it's very, very cool.
Yeah. No, listen, it seems cool. And obviously, as a veteran, thank you for the service. The only things that I know about submarines, though, are I watched the movie Down Periscope. And that's the extent of my knowledge of submarine interactions. But what was your job on the, did you I don't know what the jobs are. So what was your job?
So in port, when we were, on the dock, not moving anywhere, I was what they called a yeoman. I was administrative. I dealt with all the service records, kept up with all the documentation for every sailor that was on the ship. Worked hand in hand with the XO of the ship, and just making sure all the documentation and admin was up to par. Record keeping. So when we were out to sea, what I would end up doing, I would end up driving a boat. And that's pretty cool. It was pretty awesome to put that on my resume that I, can drive $1 billion submarine.
Right. Yeah. What can't you drive at that point? What is the thing that you can't drive? A spaceship maybe? And that's pretty much it. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it was, you go and you do different jobs. When you first get there, you're labeled as a nub or a non-useless body because you're not qualified to do anything besides, go wake people up and shadow, the people that you'll be working around. And then you get taught how to drive the boat and what to do. And you get qualified and then you become a useless body. Not a useless body. You become a useful body on the ship. So
Gotcha. All right. So then, how long were you doing that? How long are you like on maybe like total career time with the Navy was how long?
6 years.
6 years. And so like in that time, you were always a sub guy?
Yes. From the time that I got in, I did my boot camp at Chicago, Illinois. And then right after that, I ended up doing my job that I had to get taught my job in Meridian, Mississippi, about 13 weeks. And then I went to basic enlistment submarine school to learn how to be on a submarine, go through all of that rigorous training.
Yeah.
And then I finally got to my boat. And after that, I was on the boat until I got out.
How does and this is just out of curiosity. I don't know why I'm so into this sub story. Like when you're underwater, how long? Because obviously the whole point of a submarine is to be underwater, so you can't really be detected. It's like, you know, whatever. So how long would you spend underwater at a time? Like what's like the max?
I was on a fast attack, so it depends what the mission is. Longest that stint that I was ever underwater was possibly 3 months without actually surfacing.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting, pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that is cool. And like at any point, like during that time, I mean, I know you're going through all the training and stuff like that, but I think that just kind of goes back to my initial question about this whole submarine thing. Do people go like stir crazy in those things after that long being underwater and with the same people? I mean, like, you know, I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment with other people here and, you know, one other person, but you know, she knows that sometimes it's tight quarters, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on 1 second, Mike. My bad.
Yeah. Yeah. No problem. Yes, that's Pedro. Okay, I'm on my way. Thank you. Hotel living, baby.
Yeah, I tell you, man, that's crazy. got pizza delivery downstairs, and they don't allow people up. So, yeah,
You got to go get your pizza?
I'll get it in a minute.
You can get it now if you need to. That's okay.
Nah, she'll hold it. She'll
okay.
Good.
All right, cool. I don't remember what I asked. What was my question? I didn't remember.
So no.
Oh, people go stir crazy in the submarines. Yeah.
And some people do. It's really interesting when you think that you're going on a ship, and the cartoons and some of the movies portray it like there's windows on there and you can actually see out into the sea.
Yeah, right. See a fish. Yeah. No fish.
You're on an actual ship that sinks on purpose. So you definitely have to have your screws on pretty tight. Sometimes you got to let them loose, but there is people that do go stir crazy. That, you know, there was a couple of individuals on the boat that just got there and couldn't hack it, so they had to get off.
Yeah. You just like jettison them out into the ocean, then they float to the top, right? Obviously.
Yeah, that's it.
Right out the torpedo tube, just right out into the water, and then, you know, float them up. But
yeah.
All right. So then, at what point, you know, you go through the 6-year Navy career, then you go into construction. Was there, you know, a reason why? I know you're a Texas guy, right? You're originally from Texas.
Born and raised.
Okay, and then you know, so you moved back to Texas, I guess, after your Navy career.
Yeah, so I got out, and I got one job that ended up being an administrative, kind of what I was doing in the military, medical records clerk. You know, did that it was about a year, and I did not like it. Did not like being an admin in the civilian world. In the military world, I could do that. It was, you know, very structured, and I can do it. In the civilian world, it was not my cup of tea. So I was like, man. So before I got into safety, I actually became a laborer working in the refineries down in Texas. And then somebody gave me a shot to say, hey, I need you to be the safety coordinator for this one big turnaround at this refinery. And I was like, cool, not a problem. I see the other safety guys being able to walk around, eat donuts, drink coffee, you know.
I like that job.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was easy. But then diving into it and actually asking them the questions, interacting with them, and actually picking their brain on why they do what they do, I really got interested and kind of honed in, and I've been doing it for 11 years now, 12 years now.
So. Right. Okay, so then take me through like what does a safety guy do? Like what does your day-to-day operation look like?
So first thing, we get to the job site, and I'm mainly in construction. So you get to the job site, you assess what's going on for that day. You look at all the different trades that are out there. You have plumbers, you got electricians, you got your carpenters, you have, your concrete civil workers, you have your structural engineers and your iron workers that are hanging that structural steel. You have various trades. You got to get them all together, get them all on the same page, thinking about safety, give a nice safety talk. Hey, this is what, we need to focus on today. Let's make sure our areas are cleaned up. And then throughout the day, I'm just walking through all their job areas, seeing what they're doing, what tasks they're doing, what kind of hazards are out there. So that way I can help prevent somebody from getting hurt.
Right. Yeah. And then, so when you're on these construction sites, right, or these job sites, whatever, is this like more of a consulting type thing, or do you work for a company and then go to their construction site jobs?
I've done both. I've actually worked for companies and go to their job sites where where the company's at, and be just, the safety guy there. Like right now, I'm 1099 consulting, and I'm on a project here in the DC area for a big construction company. And again, site safety manager, doing the day to day, making sure everybody's safe, doing all their documentation, and it varies.
Right. And then what's like the scope of the size of some of these projects? Are they big, small, somewhere in between?
The big array, you get the whole spectrum from small jobs, a little 1 month, 2 month turnarounds type installations to I like the longer projects that are maybe a year, 2 year projects, just because you see so much. And I like the construction because you see from the ground up. You start with your earthwork all the way to finished building, and then you get to turn it over to the customer and can say, damn, I worked on that.
Yeah, right. And then like what's I mean, I know I said before, I've known you since January, so I know that a lot of times you're on the road. You just said you're in DC. I just said before that you're a Texas guy. So like how, I mean, like this job that you're doing in DC right now, are you there for the duration of that job, or is it more something where it's like you're there for X amount of time, then maybe you go back, or maybe somebody else goes, or is it something where like if that's a year project? I mean, I would imagine not, but maybe you're there for that entire year.
I am here for the duration, and then I get to take trips home, because again, you being a road warrior, and I've learned before I wouldn't go home. I'd work all the way straight through. Yeah. But it takes a toll on me mentally. It takes a toll on the family. I got a wife and kids at home. So, every chance I get, I try to get back. So luckily with this job, not working any weekends. So some weekends I'll be here. And then some weekends I'll fly back to Houston.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cause that's gotta be tough, right? So you just said, I mean, you have a family. I know you have 4 daughters, right? 4 daughters?
4 daughters. Yes, sir.
And so like, I mean, that's got to be hard to be on the road that much, be away from them, so like, what's that experience like? Was there a moment where you're just like, hey, like I need to scale? I mean, I know you just mentioned it, but scale back on like the total time that I'm spending at these job sites and go be a dad, and like spend time with them as they're all growing up.
Yeah, no, there was a big chunk of life that I was not there because I was always on the road. But then there was that, man, I'm missing out. I want to coach them on their sports that they're, wanting to do. So I found an in-town job, still doing safety, but, in town, which gave me that flexibility to, coach my daughter's softball teams. And she ended up going select. So that was really cool. We did a lot of travel ball there. and then ended up moving cross country with the family for another opportunity in Virginia, which was cool. And I was home every night. We helped the kids with their homework. Again, still doing all the sports. My daughters got into soccer and basketball, so it was really cool to not actually travel, but be able to be home more.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that would be better. I mean, I know it's probably like the actual travel, it probably takes its toll anyway, because, to get on it. I mean, not that I'm scared of flying and stuff like that. I just like hate it. Like, I just like hate the process of going through security and all that crap. But, I imagine that it's just better, more fulfilling, because then you could actually spend some time with, your kids and
Yeah.
do all those things that you were just mentioning. So at what point in this process, I guess, do you decide that you're going to be like the safety guy, and like start this podcast live stream kind of conglomerate basically that you've built as that guy? When does that become like a bug in your brain over the course of this career?
Yeah, so it started back in I think it was about 2017. I started listening to podcasts. There was a couple of safety podcasts that were out there. I started to look into being a safety consultant. So I was listening to one podcast actually called the Safety Consultant Blueprint. That was out there, and then started listening to the Jay Allen show, part of the Safety FM network, and just listening to what they were putting out there. And I was like, man, I think I can probably do this. Why not? And then I started to think what my target audience was going to be, me being in construction, helping newer safety guys and gals, give them the insight that sometimes they don't get when they hit the field. But also I wanted to give an avenue to construction workers, the workers that are out there, the superintendents, the foremen, the actual hands-on employees, to have them understand that safety isn't all about, hey, put your glasses on, or, hey, wear the right gloves. There's other stuff that goes into it, understanding what the regulations are there for. The mental health aspect of why you need to take breaks and not go out drinking like you would on a construction site, on a Friday night, knowing you have to come into work Saturday.
Yeah, right.
But that's where it started. And then I just picked up Podbean on my phone and did a couple of episodes on there. And it was called the Safety Guy Rundown. Totally, crap audio inside the work truck, as it was just crap. So I did about 3 episodes. Those are legacy episodes. They're archived. They are not going to be released ever again.
The dark episodes.
The dark episode. Yeah. And then, and this was back in 2018, coming into 2019. I kind of dove in a little bit more, understanding how it went. And then 2020, I just hit it. The pandemic hit the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. I was like, I'm going to revamp. I'm going to, rebrand everything. And I called it the X Factor of Safety, because everybody has an X Factor. Everybody has a different view on life. And I try to incorporate that. Even if you're not in the safety space, you have your own uniqueness about you. And that's what I like to bring out in those, in the conversations that I have.
Yeah. And that's what I think is so cool about the show, is that it's like your niche, whatever you want to say, in the fact that like it's construction focused and safety focused, right? But then also it's broader than that, because you actually like connect with people. And that's one of the things that I like. People like you are the types of people that I love having on the show, because it connects to the real estate audience in a certain way. Because obviously I've had construction people on the show before. I have people that are in construction that listen. So boom, there's a connection. But I've had other people on the show too that are, maybe they're in cost segregation, maybe they're in claims adjusting, title insurance. I mean, those are things that are like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, who cares about those really niche little things? But then, you realize that they're important. They're like a cog in the wheel of this whole, business.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have people like that. I mean, the people that I just mentioned have their own shows. You have your own show. So do I. Obviously, you're on it. And I think that in those aspects, you get like a really cool perspective because you have somebody that's able to articulate what it is that they do in a fashion, but again, combining the two things that I enjoy, which are podcasting and my title insurance job, and then like use those to kind of like help people and educate and do all those things. So I just think it's really cool personally.
Yeah, no, and to that, merging all of those facets. I'm a safety professional in the construction field, but understanding the emotional EQ that goes behind being a safety professional or being just a worker in general. The working in an office setting, you have to think about active shooter type stuff, ergonomics, sitting at your desk, sometimes, the body tells you that you have to stand up because you're starting to get lower lumbar, pains. And that's where, the ergonomics comes into play. And it transitions not only to the construction field. I'm worried about the guys picking up 100-pound, pallets or wood or steel or whatnot, but also inside an office setting, you also have to worry about that, picking up boxes of paper, playing around on the rolly chairs, the desk chairs.
Like I do every day in my home office. Yeah,
exactly. You see the memes and me in here in this damn hotel. Like you see the memes, but it's real. And people think, I try to bring safety into a new light because, again, safety, nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to listen to it. Oh, I've always done it that way. I don't need safety. But when you make it more about the person and individualize the person, humanize the person, then they understand why safety is so important, why they have to go home safe.
Yeah, right. Okay, we're weaving this together beautifully, right? So you just talk about the people, right? Yeah. And I don't care what anybody says. The first person on Clubhouse that I saw start to like really build a community was Pedro. So I don't care. Anybody else that's listening that is on Clubhouse that wants to give me any other name, you're wrong. You're wrong. That's it. That's what I'm going to say. I'm putting it out there. It's in the universe. It's true. Because that was like, I think one of your rooms that you started early on was like one of the first rooms that I attended as a new Clubhouse guy. And then I was like, oh, I can run my own room. So now I do. But like, so take me through like the community aspect from, doing this show and then how that kind of transitioned when you got onto Clubhouse, being able to start to build a community there, or at least have like the ideas that you were going to start to build a community. Maybe you didn't know that it was going to become what it did become, but at least like maybe those best practices on how to like connect people and bring people together.
Yeah, no, it was interesting when I got on there and, I was thinking that there was going to be more safety professionals on there. But people of all walks of life. And I didn't go into it thinking I was going to build a community, but I seen a need for it because, again, we, just like on a construction site, I'm all about culture building and community building because we have to work together in order for, one, the job to finish, two, everybody to go home safe, three, at the end of the job, we move on to the next job. So that community then, again, over the span of my career, I've seen a lot of supervisors that go to project managers, some of the lower level guys that have gone to starting their own businesses, and I've worked with them. So being on Clubhouse, it really has, become a community building activity to where, I just started a room one Sunday morning and it was, it lasted for like 8 hours. I was like, holy crap, how is it going to last?
I think I was in there for like 3 of them and I was like, oh my God, like I need to go watch football now. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was crazy because, I just started the room, the podcasting morning chat or what I think it was like morning podcasts, coffee chat or something along those lines, something having to do with coffee. And, I started it. It was like 7 a.m. Didn't have to go to work that weekend, that Sunday. And, lo and behold, 8 hours later, I didn't think I was going to be on there for 8 hours, but it was cool. And I met some people and then we started, kind of honing in on how are we going to grow this community. And then I met Roman and Tanner and, we had the same ideology on not giving the podcast community misinformation or lots of smoke and mirrors, but actual real tactical knowledge that they could use, that, new podcasters and even veteran podcasters could use through our trials and tribulations. So that's why we meshed well. And then, when you were started your rooms, I would come in there and, you and Frederick, and now, you and the crew that you have of moderators, and, again, great rooms, great community building, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So this is just a question as you were talking about like from the construction side to now the Clubhouse side. And so, I mean, I know that Clubhouse has the one of the things that I like about it is that it connects people from different parts of the country, in some cases, different parts of the world, different walks of life, all that kind of stuff. And I think that that's really cool. But when you're like on a job site versus and building a community there, because like you said, everybody's got to work together. I would imagine a lot of those guys are like blue collar guys, like maybe or guys and gals, obviously. But then you get on Clubhouse and you obviously have like a much, maybe not obviously, a different type of community. Are there different ways that you've kind of seen that work better to build communities in those different areas, or are they basically like, the foundation of building that community is similar?
The foundation is definitely similar. You go to build these communities and to build people up. What I do on a construction site and the way I talk to construction workers, like you said, the blue collar, guys and gals that are working in the trenches, that are doing, getting dirty, I talk to them a certain way versus a Clubhouse community, still the same way. You're giving them, the trials and tribulations, and I talk to them a certain way. I joke, I engage, I make people laugh. And I try to add as much value as I possibly can. And the value doesn't have to be, go buy my book or go sign up for my course. It's here's this information that I have because I've done it. Now you go utilize that information and don't make the same mistake. Right. Just try to uplift as many people. Because what I want on a construction site, I try to train people, especially like when I have, subordinates or and not even subordinates, but coworkers that are safety professionals that are working alongside me. I try to train them so that way they could take my job. And I say that because if they could do my job, that means I can probably go on a little vacation and I know the site's going to be good.
Right.
Same thing with the podcasting community. If I'm able to give them the tools and tactics and techniques that they can use to become better podcasters, well, then they put out a better product. They make more money. They're, are able to be more successful, and they don't have to do it with all the failures that we've had.
Right. Yeah. Do you, I mean, at any point, because like when I saw you start that one room, so I've been running the lunch hour since January 18th. So I think that was like the first one that I ran, and I've been doing them every Monday through Friday since then. So I think we're at the time of this recording, I think we did our 72nd today. So, which is a ton, and you've been going for longer with the morning chat. So congrats. But when you put that first room together, and I know that you didn't expect the community to kind of like pop like it did, but was there like a moment where you were like, oh boy, like there's a lot of people coming into this room, and maybe, and you could tell me like whatever you want, but like the imposter syndrome is something that everybody kind of goes through. And I had no idea. Like I always say that I wish Clubhouse was around so I could have listened to you guys talk about podcasting before I started the morning spotlight instead of doing what I did. But here we are. And but kind of like being, I mean, you start the podcast, I guess, like 2019, 2020, right? So that's like a year, maybe a little more than a year before you actually get like really involved on Clubhouse. Was there ever a moment where you're just like, this is like a lot, and like these people are coming to me for answers and I don't necessarily have all of them? Or do you have all the answers? I mean, I know you have a lot of them. That's why I like being in your rooms.
Yeah, no, and that was the biggest thing that, I told myself not to be, because I have suffered from the imposter syndrome. Why the hell am I doing this? They're coming to me and I don't know, but I'm going to, and I pride myself on saying, if I don't know the answer, I don't know the answer, but I do know enough to to give out the information. And I've done enough with my own podcast that I can speak on some of the things. And then again, you bounce, the community building, you bounce ideas off of each other. Where I might be weak at on SEO or, actual Facebook ads, Tanner and Roman pick up. Well, working inside of a hotel, 99% of the time that I'm on the road, I can do that. I can give you a quality production with the green screen that goes behind, a nice camera, ring light, all that good stuff, how to set it up. And, that right there is where it was like the aha moment. Okay, I'm not an imposter because I know what I'm doing. I've failed and I moved on and I learned. But now people are coming and asking for guidance, for asking questions and wanting to get insight. So it's give them the truth. Don't feed them any, bull crap. But if you don't know, you don't know.
Right. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I like about that group and that community and all that kind of stuff. Because one of the things that I like, and I think that you would agree, is that there's like, I guess for lack of a better word, like factions of communities of podcasters that exist on that app, So, and I feel like a lot of the people that frequent my room, which I basically have whittled down my Clubhouse time to like, morning chat when I can, if I'm actually up that early. And then my room, and then maybe afternoon drive or afternoon delight, whatever it's called now. I always forget. And then that's it. And like, I mean, I stopped going to all the other ones because I just, like some of the stuff that you were saying, like the salesy, gimmicky kind of bullcrap, like you said. I mean, it's just not for me. And that's like one of the things that I appreciate is just the fact that like you guys are just real and, like this is what we do and this is how we think it could work and all that kind of stuff. So talk to me more about like the RTP stuff, because obviously that's important, because that's one of the things that you guys started, you, Roman, and Tanner. At what point did you say like, hey, we're running so many rooms together, why don't we just start our own podcast?
Yeah, it was interesting because I was in some of the rooms that were misleading people down the wrong path, and I think that Roman and Tanner had met previously in rooms to where Tanner had challenged Roman, and Roman, was like, "Oh shit, okay, somebody's really, challenging me," but it was for the greater good. And then we ended up in the room together and we were talking and we meshed really well. So then we, took a conversation offline. Hey, let's start running some rooms together, see how we do. And then lo and behold, Real Talk Podcasting came about, the RTP crew. And by no means did we set that up that the RTP was the initials of Roman Tanner.
I do not believe, I've heard you guys say that before, and I do not believe that for 1 second. Not at all.
Yeah, no, we were actually offline. We were talking about, what we were going to call, the group and the club. And I mean, we were grinding for a while to get our club. And then the minute that, we put our applications in, they give the clubs to everybody. We're like, really? But it was cool because we did grind all that time. We were doing all the rooms and I was spending, 15 hours a day on Clubhouse, on top of me being a full-time safety professional on a construction site. But we were like, let's Real Talk Podcast, or we were going to call it the podcast corner or something along those lines. And I just came up, I was like, Real Talk Podcasting. Cause again, we're real talk and we real people about podcasting. So why not call it Real Talk Podcasting? And then I was looking at it when we wrote it down and we were talking about it and I was like, oh shit. RTP, Roman, Tanner, and Pedro. It was just, it was very serendipitous, but cool at the same time.
Yeah. And one of the things that I like about the RTP group, and I do want to go back to the amount of time that you spend on Clubhouse because I think that is crazy. But one of the things that I like is that, like, if you go to the website, like you see like Raphael and other people that I know that I interact with on Clubhouse all the time, contributing to that community, which I think is one of the things that's cool about it, is that it brings everybody. Like, it's not just you three sitting up on your pedestals saying like, here's how to podcast, peasants. You know, it's like, hey, like we have a lot to learn from a lot of other people. So was that like a conscious decision that you guys made early on to like bring other people that have different areas of expertise in?
Yeah, it definitely was. It was, when we talked about it, the Real Talk podcasting was going to be a community that was built by community.
Yeah.
Bringing the different, people, and the way we brought these trusted individuals in to, collaborate and do certain things on the website. But even inside the rooms was hearing what they have to say and actually filling them out inside the Clubhouse rooms that we were hosting and we were a part of. And then when we figured that there was a lot of overlap, like we would see Raphael a lot in some of the rooms, more so the late night rooms that we would, be in. Same thing goes for Brandon. We'd see Brandon and Brandon's, IT guy, very techie, which was right up Tanner's alley. And, it was great to see these people that, without Clubhouse probably would have never come across. But now that we trust, what they have to say and the guidance that they're able to give to people on certain things. So, that's how we collaborate and we like it.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. And that's what I think it kind of like just rounds you guys out even more. The more people that you bring in that have areas of expertise in different things, it just rounds out the amount of information that people can get from the community. And that's what it's all about. So you said that you spend like 15 hours a day on Clubhouse, maybe on average, I don't know. But I remember you ran a room, one of your morning chat rooms, and I was in there. And I remember Amanda was asking like, how many hours per week do you spend on Clubhouse? So I checked my screen time, and at the time it was like, I think it was like 12. And I was like, wow, I spend 12 hours a week like on Clubhouse. And I was like, that's a lot. And then you were like, I spend 45 hours a week on Clubhouse. I was like, what? Like, that's insane. But is that just like, I mean, are you just in podcasting rooms? Are you in other rooms? How do you find that many hours in a day, in a week, in whatever, to to get on there and either listen or contribute the way that you do?
And that was early on. That was January, February when we were actually grinding. I think me personally ended up doing like 55, 56 hours in a week. So damn near a full-time job.
Yeah.
But it's because we were grinding and I was trying to contribute to all these different rooms, running the rooms that I wanted to run. Tanner was running his, Roman was running his. So I definitely have drawn that back. But no, it wasn't all podcasting. That I'm real big on the mental health aspect of things. Being in the construction field, you have a lot of that. So I like going into some of the mental health awareness rooms. I like going into some of the voiceover rooms that are on Clubhouse that teach you how to do voiceover and voice acting. And, they give you certain scripts and you go in there and, try to do different reads. Cause I would like to dabble into some voiceover work, here in the near future.
You got a good voice for it, I think.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah. No, you're welcome. You're welcome. One of the things, and I'm so glad you said it. And again, you could tell that you're a pro because like you're answering the questions the way that I want you to answer the questions. And we're weaving this together like perfectly because I did want to, because I didn't really know up until listening to a podcast that you were on recently that you were involved or at least, interested in and a proponent of like the mental health side. And we talk a lot, maybe not a lot, but we talk quite a bit about mental health here on this show. We've had guests that have gone through like different traumas and, their struggles with mental health. And from basically when we started the show back in July, all the way till now, we've had guests that talk about that kind of stuff. So talk to me more. I mean, I know it's important to the construction industry side of it. And I'm sure it's important to you as somebody that was, like we mentioned at the earlier part of this episode, like being on the road, away from your family, traveling all the time, in a hotel room all the time. I mean, talk to me more about like why that's such an important issue for you and other ways you kind of have gotten involved to, support what's the word that I'm looking for? Efforts
Awareness.
around mental health. Yeah.
Awareness and effort.
Awareness. Yeah, there's a better word. See?
No, I've been in the construction field, and even before that, mental health was not something that was really, especially in the military, talked about. Again, you're in the military, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, hand salute, go on about your day, hear your orders, you execute them, and that's it. You can't say you can't say no, you have to say yes. You got to complete the mission. Getting out into civilian life and being a laborer before I got into safety, going into confined space, putting my body through very rigorous and hurtful labors, really took a toll on me mentally. And that's where I started to kind of dive into it. Being a safety professional, transitioning into a safety profession, you start to see it more from your workers, from your coworkers, and sometimes even your superiors, that there's some mental health issues that are really going on that need to be talked about. And there was lots of suicide that happens out of construction workers, just because, again, it's a very hard life. It's living in lots of hotel rooms, eating junk food, going out. Sometimes you don't think about family because you're with the guys and you're worried about the construction site and where's the next bar or the next club that we're going to go to. And it takes a toll on you, and it's sad that individuals have to lose their life and nobody talks about it on the construction site, because again, it's the machismo bravado of hey, we're men, and women, we have to get this job done, we're very tough. But I've gotten into the mental health awareness and understanding that your cup has to be full before you can actually give to anybody. So I have to take care of myself first. I've dealt with my own, mental health issues and having a heart attack. That right there threw me for a loop at such a young age. I had a heart attack last year in June. And what saved me, I think, was the wife and the kids. We were kayaking, and their safety was what was pushing me to get them to safety. And then once I did, then I was able to, finally say, heart attack, you can come now.
Right. Yeah. But you could attack me now, heart. It's fine.
Exactly. You know, before that, I had to get them. I had my youngest, we had dogs, and, my wife ended up flipping over and kayak hit her in the head. And, I had to drag her on her kayak. My oldest was trying to be helpful. And, it was just a crazy time. But, I was a smoker, and I quit smoking because of the heart attack.
Yep.
But, just that alone, just having a heart attack, not knowing if I was going to make it or not knowing if I was going to see my kids after getting out of the hospital, was I going to, die on the operating table or not, really scared the crap out of me. But, I'm a big proponent of mental health, and from a servant leadership perspective, because in order for me to be a good leader, for me to serve everybody the way I need to at 100%, I myself have to be at 100%.
Right. And so you mentioned the, like I know earlier we mentioned like making sure that you are getting home when you can, obviously quitting smoking. From a mental health perspective, are there things that you're doing to make sure that you do fill the cup up? Like I like to think of it like you got to put your own oxygen mask on before assisting others. If they tell you that all the time on the plane, so like, are there certain things that you make sure that you need to do, like maybe every day, just to make sure that you're focused, your mind's right, cup's full, like you said? Are there certain things that you do to make sure that you have that going on for you? Yeah,
definitely. I make sure that at the end of each day, I'm talking to my wife and the kids, telling them I love them. When I wake up in the morning, I thank God that He's woken me up for yet another day. And I meditate a little bit in the morning time, get my mind right and focused. Ask myself, what did I do yesterday that I can do better or be better at today. And that kind of sets me on the path of completing possibly, one of those steps that I maybe have missed the day prior. And then just really, my affirmations, I am loved. Uh, I am strong, and I can't do this alone. So those things there kind of get me in the right mindset for my cup to be full.
Yeah.
And it's not always full. I mean, there's times where it's, you running on fumes, but you take time away from podcasting, you take time away from, TV, from work, go chill with the family, go have some fun, re-energize, so that way you can bounce back and come back.
Yeah. Do you ever? So, I mean, you could answer this question however you want, but like when I look at you and you're somebody that like we're talking about mental health stuff right now, and you're like a safety professional, you're on construction sites, you're obviously responsible for the safety of the people on that construction site, or at least they're make sure that they're doing what they need to do to be safe. You're a dad. You're part of like now this podcasting community that you've built, which is just like a runaway freight train, basically. Does that ever get to a point where it's like a lot of responsibility falling on your shoulders, or is that something that because you're trying to make sure that your mind's right first thing in the morning and over the course of the day, that you're able to kind of like compartmentalize that stuff and make sure that you got to put number one first? It is what it is. Is that something that you make sure that you're doing?
Yeah, it does get overwhelming having so many different hats and having so much on your plate. Sometimes your plate runneth over and you don't have enough hands to handle everything. But prioritizing. I like how you said that. Not so much. You have to prioritize, and I say prioritize because once you have your priorities set, sometimes they shift. They go up and down, depending on the importance of what that priority needs to happen, in what order it needs to happen. So I definitely take pride in making sure that the priorities are set. Family first, after myself, because I can't serve my family if I'm not at 100%. So myself, family, then I worry about the job. And then throughout that, the community over on Clubhouse and in the podcast of the business side of things and just making sure everything comes together. There's some things that that I can't do, which then luckily there's three of us, and Roman can do or Tanner can do. Same thing with the rooms that we run throughout the day. You have different moderators. If I can't be there, somebody can start the room and I'll come in later, and it works out really well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I love talking to people that I respect, and you're one of those people, especially about their goals. So like we just said, you wear a lot of hats. So, you're doing the construction stuff, the safety stuff, you have your own podcast, you have the RTP stuff, you have a family. Like maybe we could take those like one by one, maybe like the construction, the podcasting side, it could be RTP, I don't care what it is, and then family stuff, like goals for each one of those three. Maybe just even looking out over like the next year, what are some things that you hope to accomplish?
Yeah. For the safety portion, my career, I want to go back to school, actually get my degree in safety, occupational safety and health. So that's an aspiration of mine, coming soon, hopefully. Maybe the beginning of next year. A little procrastination there, but again, it all depends. It has to align with with the job that I'm on, family time, and not take away from some of the business aspects that I have and that we have coming up. Goals for the RTP or Real Talk podcast, and just continue to grow it. That's one of the biggest things that we want to see. We want to host an event, kind of like a PodFest, a PodMax type deal, an actual in-person event that we would like to get together and have the community again meet. post pandemic, hopefully everything starts to open back up again.
Yep.
And then we can do something along those lines. And as far as family, being able to go on a cruise and have some good away time with the family, have some fun. Because again, last year was crazy. This year, still a little crazy coming into 2021. But yeah, just definitely spending more time with the family, getting some good quality time away from work.
Right. Yeah, I think those are all great. All right. One of the things that I wanted to ask about the travel side, and forgive me because sometimes I do get a little all over the place, but when you are traveling and you've been to different parts of the country, all over the place, is there a spot in the country? It could be, you would rather go on vacation there than maybe go to a job site there. But are there places in the country that are like your favorite? Like, do you have like a spot you're like, oh yeah, I get to go to Morristown, New Jersey, and go see Mike Ham? Or is there like, other spots that you're just like, hey, that's the spot. Like if I can get a job there, like that's where I want to go.
Oh yeah, if I can go, West Coast, and Las Vegas, Arizona, those areas over on the West Coast would be great. I don't want to go to California. By no means do I want to go to California. Colorado would be nice. Again, I love being in the mountains. Virginia, believe it or not, I lived here. We thought it was great to be in the mountains, in the countryside. Jersey, I love New Jersey, the tri-state area. I was stationed in Connecticut, so I don't know all about New Jersey and New York. I'm in DC, lots of cool stuff here. Florida, because it's always warm and sunny down in Florida. So it all depends. I don't mind going anywhere as long as there's some type of civilization that's around me. And
right.
What I mean by civilization, as long as I can get to maybe a McDonald's, a good place to eat, if they have a Walmart, so that way I can get groceries while I'm here, then it's great.
Yeah.
Can't be a dry county either, because I do like to drink from time to time.
Right.
So definitely like to have an adult beverage every now and then.
Sure. Yeah, no, I respect that. So, well, if you're ever in New Jersey, I'm sure Roman would probably be your first phone call, but second phone call, you can call me and we'll hang. Maybe we'll get that. Maybe we'll get that adult beverage for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So we've been talking for, I don't know, 50, 45, somewhere in there minutes over the course of this episode. So the spotlighters, which is what I call the spotlight audience, have listened to Mike Ham and Pedro talk for that long. So we're going to move this into our closing segment, which we call Under the Spotlight. So they've listened to us talk. What is one thing that you want the spotlighters to walk away from this episode with? So you're under the spotlight. What do you got for us?
Wow, under the spotlight.
Gets hot under there.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are filling your cup up first. One of the big things in any endeavor that you have, you want to make sure that you, as the primary, fill your cup up. And that could be in different ways. Worry about your mental health, because it does matter. Have a little emotional EQ when you're out there doing your day-to-day. Understand that people have lives and we're all human. But you can't function, you can't do and be at 100% if your cup's not full. So that's what I would give your spotlighters.
Absolutely. I love it. I think that's great advice. So if they need more Pedro, where can they get more Pedro?
They can find me all over the place. Pedro Maciel. You can find me at the X Factor of Safety. You can find me realtalkpodcasting.com. I'm all over the place. All social medias, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all of those places. Find me on Clubhouse if you're on Clubhouse. That's a great place. Anywhere. LinkedIn. I have a lot of following over on LinkedIn on the construction side. So if you're in need of anybody in the construction space, a safety professional or a trade, by all means, please hit me up.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure that I put those links and all that in the show notes for everybody listening. I'll make sure that I put my email address, which is themorningspotlight@gmail.com, and the website, themorningspotlight.com, in there as always. Pedro, this was probably long overdue. Thank you so much for coming on with us today. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for the invite, and hopefully your audience gets a little bit of value out of this one.
Oh, I know that they will. I did. So I know that they will, because, we're like the same person. And Spotlighters, thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.